Reptile enclosures can be expensive, to say the least, especially when it comes to larger animals like big lizards and snakes. Going the DIY route is a great way to save money, as well as better customize the enclosure to your reptile's needs. In this video, I'll show you guys how I made this custom reptile enclosure that can be used for a wide variety of different animals. I'll be making this enclosure specifically as a grow-out setup for my Russian tortoise, but this same technique can be applied for most reptiles. If you're new around here, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing as it really helps me out a lot. Here's a look at the materials I'll be using for this build. Full list is in the description. The first thing I'll start with is cutting a couple pieces of the OSB plywood to size. This build will have a lot of different pieces, so I'm going to start by just cutting the back and both of the side panels. With the pieces cut, you can now see them all together, and I'll put the dimensions up on screen. With the initial pieces now cut, we can start assembling them. I started with the right side by lining up the top edges and using a drill bit to pre-drill the hole. Since the plywood is only a ½ inch thick, pre-drilling is important to make sure none of it splits. I'll repeat this process on the bottom before coming back with a little bit of wood glue and lining the edges of the plywood. I'll then press them firmly together and use some screws to secure it in place. I'll add another screw to the bottom of the enclosure as well as the middle, and this will be more than strong enough. Once that's complete, I'll go ahead and repeat the entire process for the left side of the enclosure. With the back and sides now firmly secured, we can proceed to add some structural supports by first measuring the space in between the two sides. The measurement should be the same as the piece of plywood on the back, but I'll double check to make sure and then transfer those measurements onto some 2x2s. Since we'll be putting 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, I went ahead and cut 4 of these pieces. With the pieces now cut, I'll go ahead and start by placing one of them in the back of the enclosure. Then, like earlier, I'll go ahead and pre-drill the hole and secure it in place with a screw. I'll then repeat this process on the other side before coming back with a couple more screws along the backside to further secure the board in place. Then I'll go ahead and add the second board to the front of the enclosure. After lining up the edge of the board with the plywood, I went ahead and pre-drilled the hole and secured it in place. The same process will be applied to the top of the enclosure, however this time I need to account for a mesh lid. To do this, I'll use a scrap piece of window screen frame and line it up with the top of the enclosure. I'll then come back and pre-drill the hole and secure it in place with the screw. This process can then be repeated for the back side as well as the front, which was a little bit more tricky, but I eventually got it done. With the 4 initial boards in place, I went ahead and measured the space in between them and then transferred those measurements onto some more 2x2s. I initially started by cutting 4 of them, but I'll end up cutting some more later. With the pieces now cut, I'll go ahead and start by inserting one of them in between the 2 boards. I'll then go and pre-drill the holes and secure everything in place with some screws, keeping the window screen frame in place to ensure everything is still flush. I'll then repeat this process on the other side for both the top and bottom boards. Since the enclosure is so long, I'll go ahead and cut a couple more pieces as I mentioned earlier and secure them in place onto the enclosure to add a little bit more structural support. I added a 2x2 to the top middle of the enclosure, but decided to do a 2x4 on the bottom. This setup will be filled with around 8 inches of substrate, so making sure that there's enough structural support on the bottom is a must. With the boards now in place, I'll go ahead and set a piece of plywood in the bottom of the enclosure and press it firmly into place. I'll then use a pen to make a mark along the edge of the enclosure and take it over to the table saw to cut along the line. With the piece now cut, I can go ahead and set it back into the bottom of the enclosure and press it firmly into place to make sure everything fits. With that confirmed, I can now start attaching the piece with screws. I worked my way across the bottom of the enclosure, adding screws wherever I felt necessary. With all the screws in, we can now start cutting the rest of the pieces. I'll start by first cutting the pieces for the top and bottom of the front of the enclosure. I'll cut 2 pieces to the appropriate thickness before placing them on the front of the enclosure and again using a pen to mark where I need to cut. After making both the cuts, I'll go ahead and line up the bottom piece with the enclosure and then secure it in place. As for the top, it's pretty much the exact same process. This piece is just a lot thinner, so I didn't need as many screws up here. Similarly, the sides are also very thin strips, so I repeated the process of marking for where I need to cut and cutting both of the pieces. Then I lined them up with the front of the enclosure and attached everything together. For the bottom, I also decided to add a couple more supports in the form of 2x2s, so I went ahead and cut those to size and secured them in place. Though probably not necessary, with the amount of weight that this enclosure will be holding, it never hurts to add a little bit of extra support. Anyway, with all of the plywood now attached, I went ahead and flipped the enclosure upright, and at this point I noticed an issue. Since the bottom panel of the enclosure is so long, it started to bow if pressure was applied to it. This meant that I needed to add more supports, and I decided to go with shelf brackets. This should be a good way to secure this and not obstruct any of the burrowing area. Before attaching the brackets, I went ahead and added a little bit of super glue to the bottom of them just to be sure and make the connection extra strong. I then went ahead and set them into place and attached them to the enclosure with screws. These brackets are pretty rigid and should help mitigate as much of that bowing as possible. With that issue fixed, the base of the enclosure is now finished. I'm really happy with everything so far, so the next step will be sealing it. Before that, I went ahead and vacuumed out any remaining debris in the bottom of the enclosure. Then I'll come back with a little bit of wood putty and start applying it to the corners of the enclosure. This will ensure that when I add the liquid rubber later, none of it's going to seep into the cracks. After covering all of the corners and edges of the enclosure, I went ahead and let this sit for about 8 hours before coming back with the liquid rubber to start the first coat. Liquid rubber is my go-to sealant for enclosures like this. It's one of the cheapest options, and I've had great results through 2 enclosures with it so far. The only downside is that it's super thick and it takes quite a bit to cover the enclosure, especially one of this size. The first coat ended up taking almost the entire can. Once the first coat was complete, I let it cure for about 2 days before coming back to start the second coat. This coat is a lot lighter and is only really a touch-up coat, so after allowing that to cure, the sealing was finally complete and we can now move on to covering the front of the enclosure with some plywood. I'll be using this 3/8 inch birch plywood to cover the front of the enclosure. It's pretty smooth already, and once sanded, has a very nice result. I started to cut the pieces on the table saw, following the exact same measurements as the plywood I cut earlier for the front of the enclosure. I then started laying the pieces onto the enclosure and attaching them using some 1/2 inch brad nails. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a piece long enough for the bottom, so I had to split it into 2 parts. Not ideal, but I had to work with it. Anyways, I continued working my way around the enclosure, securing all of the different panels in place. I'll come back later with some more wood filler to cover up all of the holes that the brad nails left. Once that was done and all the paneling was attached, I can now move on to the sanding process. As I said earlier, the wood is pretty smooth already, but I come back with the sander anyway to fix any inconsistencies and get that polished up a bit. Just like I've done with both the gecko enclosures, I'll go ahead and cut a couple thin strips to line the edges of the front of the enclosure. This is so that when I slide it into the stand, the seam isn't visible and everything looks seamless. Since these strips are so thin and don't have a lot of surface area to attach to the enclosure, I'll go ahead and use a combination of superglue and brad nails to keep it in place. Once the strips were attached, I can now start the painting process. To keep it looking the same as everything else in the room, I went ahead and painted it with the same brown color that I always use. At some point in the future, I'll probably end up redoing the paneling and staining this instead. With the painting now done, I can move on to the sliding glass door. I'll start with a couple of glass tracks and apply some 100% silicone to the bottom of them. I'll then press them firmly into the top and bottom of the enclosure. Unfortunately, this won't be enough to hold it in place. I'll use a little bit of painting tape to help secure this while the silicone cures. Though the painting tape helps, it ends up slipping a little bit due to the liquid rubber on the inside of the enclosure, so I'll use a couple screws to help keep it in place. While I wait for that to cure, I'll go ahead and make the mesh lid for the top of the enclosure. I'll start by cutting a couple pieces of window screen frame to size, and then using a couple of corners to attach the pieces. I'll then roll a sheet of window screen mesh over top of it and secure everything in place using some spline and a spline roller. With the mesh now attached, I went ahead and cut off the excess mesh using a razor blade. Then I could go ahead and set the screen into the top of the enclosure to ensure everything fit before coming back and securing it down with screws. With this complete, the enclosure could now be moved inside, so I took it down to the animal room and slid it into the stand. It's a pretty heavy enclosure, so it took a little bit of time to get it in, but I eventually got it and I could now move on to making the doors. I started by measuring the total width of the opening of the enclosure as well as the height. Normally for something like this I'd be using glass, but for this one I'm going to be using some 1/8 inch acrylic sheet. The reason being is that since this is for a Russian tortoise, they have a tendency to bash their shells into everything. This means that if I were to use thin glass, there's the potential that she could break it and cause harm to herself. Anyway, after cutting the first piece with a plastic cutter, I went ahead and did a test fit and proceeded to cut the other piece. Everything was looking good, so I could now move on to attaching the handles to the doors. Using a couple stainless steel handles, I went ahead and centered them onto the acrylic sheets and marked for where I needed to drill the holes. After drilling, I went and pulled back the protective plastic so I could attach the handle using the provided screws. I liked how everything looked, so I went ahead and repeated this process on the other sheet. If I were to leave the enclosure as is, there's a high chance that she would escape, as tortoises are fairly smart animals. To fix this issue, I'll go ahead and use a showcase lock and attach it to one of the sheets. This will allow me to simply slide the lock over and keep it in place so she won't be able to escape. As you can see, the doors aren't going anywhere. With the doors now in place, that completes the build. I'm honestly really happy with how this thing turned out. As I said at the beginning of the video, going the DIY route is preferred when possible. Compared to the $400 to $500 enclosures of this size I saw online, this one only cost about $200. In addition to the price difference, I was also able to customize this enclosure for the needs of my animal. Not only will it provide her with much more space, but it will also provide a significant substrate barrier for her to burrow in if she wants to. Overall, this will be a great enclosure for her to spend a little bit of time in until I can get her into something bigger and is much better than what she's currently in. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.